option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside Steven Simcox of Locked On Horned Frogs.
That's right, Paul.
Yeah. Just trying to get all the gestures right.
Is that a uniquely Texas thing, the hand signs for every college?
No, I think everybody, but like Texas might have like helped it flourish.
Okay.
You know, gig 'em and hook 'em, and Houston has one.
Give me 3 hand signs for schools not in Texas then.
Let's see. Okay.
Chomp.
There's one I won't do. And then there's that. And then, I mean, that's just the schools in Florida.
Right.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you're copping out on the third one there, Paul.
Oh, yeah. Ohio. Yeah. Ohio.
Do they walk around
I'm not
going to
let you get me on video doing the chomp.
I wasn't trying to get you to do the chomp.
Yeah.
I really wasn't.
There. That's what they get.
They get baby shark. They get baby shark.
That's what they
Gator
get.
fan 2565 is like clipping that right now.
That's what they get.
Like, look at what Paul did.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'm trying to think of, Wichita State has one, but I don't know if you can do it in
When TCU played
polite
LSU,
company.
when TCU played LSU a few years back, a lot of their fans were just giving me the middle finger, which I thought that was a weird hand sign.
Yeah.
But
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I guess that's what they do. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I was at Alabama. I don't think they have one.
I wasn't trying to derail your segment.
No. It's a fair
I
conversation.
feel like it's a Texas thing.
It's probably more of a Texas thing than an everywhere else thing.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And like some school, like SMU does pony up, which I don't even really know what they do. I think they just have their butlers.
But like,
do
what's
it,
what's a Wolverine? Like, would you be like, like, what do they do? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I've never been attacked by a Wolverine, so I couldn't make a hand gesture appropriate to what they do. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a Texas thing. But.
Yeah, it's probably unique because Oklahoma doesn't have one, right? Mm-hmm. They just yell out "Boomer Sooner."
Right.
Oklahoma State doesn't have one.
No.
Yeah.
I think they do some.
They do some sort of guns up too.
But but Oklahoma State has this weird thing where they've stolen one tradition from like every other Big 12 school. So
I think the one true one is that
Oh, the paddles.
yes,
the
paddles are theirs.
That's theirs.
Yeah, that's their thing.
You can hear it in the press box.
Oh, it's
wild.
It's legit annoying and disturbing and all those things.
And so if you can hear it in the press box, like imagine if you're watching a game and you're a foot away from it.
Yes.
And they're just doing it. It's one of those things, and they so consistently do it and like rotate. Like if you get tired, like Steven gets tired, he's like, "Hey, Garrett, need to go get some water. You got me? Yeah. You got me. Okay, keep going."
They're like training their kids to do it. Yeah.
It'd be like if you're in your apartment, like, what is that sound? You can't find it. You couldn't go to sleep. That's how it is. It's unbelievable what they do there. But to the Pac-12 now, who I believe is hand signless.
Sure.
I don't know. Like
I won't push back on that. I don't know.
I mean, Oregon's the Ducks. That would be a weird.
That'd be a weird hand sign.
Yeah, it'd be a weird one.
USC is that V for victory, I think.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there's some things, but Oregon State and Washington State have successfully at least won their temporary injunction that they're in control of the Pac-12, and none of the other 10 are.
That's right.
Which I don't think
would take. House, Dad, we're taking over.
I don't think would take much convincing in a court of law to be like, hey, so these people don't want any part of this, and they're only trying to steal the money that is there for all of us together, so that they don't have to pay us any of it on the way out. We would like to not do that and maintain it. So can we discuss this before they just say, oh, we're out of the office just constantly. I mean, clearly George Kliavkoff he was in Montana during this thing. So like everybody else is checked out and is out of office here. We're trying to figure out the future of this league. Without them, they shouldn't have any say in it. I don't see any reason, like somebody's going to have to convince me that the other 10 are right, or the other 8, I guess. I guess 10, yeah, I guess 10. The other 10 are right, and Oregon State and Washington State are wrong because they're the ones who wanted to stay in the first place.
Exactly. Like, I don't know enough about the legal contract situation, so unless there's some sort of loophole that allows them to have a vote here, common sense tells you, no, they shouldn't have any say in what's happening. There's literally 2 schools left. Like, they should just be able to go to each other's campus and talk about this amongst themselves or send each other a Zoom invite. And man, George K is just living my dream. Like he's out there. The Pac-12's crumbling. He's living in Montana. He's going to get paid this year to just sort of him haul around and do his thing. What a gig.
Just drinking a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Like looking out over his, his acres, just thinking he's Kevin Costner for a minute.
Do you remember the episode of The Office where Jim has a new boss and he goes with his new boss to a sales conference and they meet Michael and Dwight, and his new boss makes a joke and Jim and him laugh about it. And Jim's like, sorry, inside joke. And Michael says, oh man, I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one someday. That to me is like the George Klaikoff experience. It's just, he's just kind of constantly figuring things out after they happen.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, you guys had something planned? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you don't want to sign this Apple deal?
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Washington State and Oregon State should have full control over the situation at this point.
Okay, so now, let's say Washington State and Oregon State retain control of the Pac-12 name and the Pac-12 brand, and apparently 4 television studios that they have in San Francisco. A terrible place to build them. Then the Pac-12 networks. So they retain their hold on that. And they go to the Mountain West and they say, listen, instead of you guys all paying exit fees, let's just merge and call ourselves the Pac, however,
14 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I don't know what, whatever, how many teams there would be in that league at that point. And the Mountain West says, sure, Gloria Nevarez, absolutely wonderful and capable commissioner who's on her way up in the college athletics world. You're the commissioner of the Pac-12 now and not the Mountain West, and we can retain the Mountain West brand for other things if it ever comes into play. But we're the Pac-12 now. That's what we are. Can they now turn around to the College Football Playoff Committee and all of the other conferences and say, we're still the same. We would like Autonomy 5. We want the same units in the NCAA tournament. All the things that we had before as the Pac-12, we are going to retain them because we have fulfilled that contract. What do you think the other ones say to them?
I mean, in theory, they can say that. And I don't know what the defense would be unless they're going to get real blunt about it and be like, hey, this is a very different conference, and we're not giving you guys that same type of status. But, I mean, from a, procedural standpoint, I don't know what legs the CFP committee would have to stand on other than just to admit that they don't think the league is nearly as good. And, listen, it would take a huge hit, but that seems like the shrewdest thing for Oregon State and Washington State to do. It gives them, they have a built-in advantage over these schools that they would be joining. It gives them a clear path to an expanded playoff. And, that was kind of the point of the expanded playoff, was to give conferences, have that automatic bid, give conferences the opportunity to get in and have teams that are available. So I think it could work. Now, obviously, fans are going to make a big deal of it. They're going to be like, no, it's not the same thing. I'm sure some of the commissioners would have something to say about it. But just from a logical sense, they could make that claim. I don't see why they couldn't.
Yeah, I think the loudest would be the Big Ten and the SEC, who
of course
are going to try to get 4 teams in of 12 every year.
They want to do their own thing anyway. So.
Yeah, so they're going to be because that would eliminate the 4th best team in their league getting in, and one of them, maybe both, depending on the year. But that to me would be interesting to see them say, look, by the terms of our contract, as long as we have this many members, we are still the Pac-12. And by what we've negotiated, because the Mountain West is not actually exiting, they're just going to all join the Pac-12 at once and then, probably take the TV deal, which is far less than anything they're going to get, but they can still say that we're going to get, as the other 4 leagues have. But if they just said, hey, this is the Pac-12 now, then I wonder how the CFP tries to bend around that, because the whole thing about the college football postseason is it's been a mad dash to keep teams like San Diego State and Boise State out.
Yeah.
because they don't know what to do with this money. They don't deserve to be here, you know, and so that would maybe make everybody have to really show their cards, where you know they have to say the quiet part out loud, where it's like, all right, look, we don't want to share with you.
Yeah,
we don't respect you. We don't want to share with you. We've been keeping this all for ourselves, and if we have to make an exception for you now, then it's just going to start a slippery slope of where we can't be as greedy as we wanted to be.
So if that happened and they said no, the CFP says no, you're not, like, that's not who you are. We understand the point you're trying to make, but this is not.
You can get one of the at-large bids,
Yes.
but you're not going to be an automatic qualifier.
Is that the first step? I mean, I know we're already like the first step. There's been steps taken.
Is that another step to the Super
To
League?
the Super League, yeah. Is that the direct
probably.
pathway to the Super League?
Probably, because
then I assume you have another lawsuit, like
yeah,
the Pac-12 or Mountain West, whatever.
yeah,
Takes legal action against the committee.
yeah. So then they, you know, like it's going to get muddled, and then it just makes everybody start to admit, which then it starts to get to the point of schools have to decide how much they want to spend on football. I think it would be maybe not down the road to the Super League. Before the Super League happens, they have to break football off of everything else. And this is something they could have done 25 years ago when football started being clearly, maybe even 30 years ago, clearly different than everything else. Like for a long time, you could convince yourself, like, look, there's just more players on a football team, but we treat it just like we do every other sport. In 1977, that's probably applicable.
Mostly true, yeah.
Mostly true, you know. But then when cable TV comes along and they're like, well, instead of like 3 games being on television each week nationally, we're going to put all of them on, like as many as we can, and then more and more and more and more. And then it got to the point where there's so much money coming in football that it's not the same. Like it is not the same as track and field. It's not the same as swimming and diving. It's not the same as soccer. We got to stop treating it that way because that actually hurts the other sports because you have to treat it that way. So just move it out, run it as its own thing, and then see where it goes from there.
Would the Pac-12 Mountain West Zombie League, do you think they would scoff at the idea of streaming only? Or do you feel like they'd see that as an opportunity? Or would it just all be about the money?
I think it'll all be about the money. Like, I doubt Apple's going to come back to them and give them the same deal.
Right.
And the Mountain West already has a television deal. So, you know, I don't think they would scoff at it. I think they would see money as money and just go for it. I think the bigger thing would be for them playoff access, money is money, and let's see where we are when the shakeups happen again. Yeah. You know, so keep going because that's where they have to really see their future. Because I'm happy that Oregon State and Washington State are able to call the shots here a little bit because clearly this was all like they're the only ones who were negotiating in good faith with the Pac-12 the whole time because they didn't have. I mean, they might have tried, but I guarantee you it was like you have reached the office of Brett Yormark.
Yeah, there wasn't a clear exit strategy.
You know,
for them.
Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Go Big 12, and then. I've got 9 messages from Oregon State and Washington State. I'll get back to those later, you know, like kind of a thing.
Yeah, they're talking to Arizona, and they're like, Brett's mailbox, it always says it's full.
Yeah.
It won't allow me to leave voicemail.
Yeah. And Arizona's like, weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
Weird, yeah.
Technology, man.
Yeah, you know, like just text him? So, yeah, there's that's going on with them. So I hope so, and I agree. Last week with Jake Dykert when he was like, "Look, this is a Power 5 team. They are Power 5 players, and they deserve to be in the Power 5." They beat Wisconsin. They were in control of that game the entire time. Yeah, and you know, like they deserve that. Like they earned those things, and so to have a bunch of people who are not out there working at football. Making these decisions over your head, and then just one day you wake up and be like, oh, yeah, by the way, next year you're going to have less opportunity than you did this year. Then it sends everybody else like part of that is also like, hey, good Washington State players that are transfer eligible, like, please
come here,
get in the portal. Same with Oregon State. Like, you know, those things, that's just the unfortunate side of college football right now. And I'm glad that the little guys, so to speak, might be able to fight back a little bit for a little while and stave off what would be, I don't know. I hope that if the Super League comes around, I'm old enough to where I don't care anymore.
And you're just like, oh,
It's years like, all right, kids, turn this on for me. Just ask Alexa, Grandpa. I don't trust that woman. So, but yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Washington used to be in the Pac-12. Okay, Grandpa.
Yeah. They played USC. They still do. Oh. Washington State used to play a thing called the Apple Cup, where they would win apples, apparently. All right, calm down.
Thanks, Uncle Paul.
Yeah. All right, take your pills.
Here's your Price is Right reruns.
Yeah, don't yell at the nurse anymore. So, yeah, that's what I hope, because I don't know if I'll enjoy it the same if it completely changes. And I think the one thing TV networks do miss out on, Steven, and it's not completely their fault, but when they're trying to these leagues start negotiating and they leave it behind, and even the leagues, that regionality matters. That
sure it does.
TCU doesn't like Texas because they're both in the same state, and that TCU feels probably different about Iowa State because they're not in the same state. And yes, they're in the same conference and they don't care for each other, but it's not to the same level. Mm-hmm. TCU fans didn't grow up, going to high school with a bunch of people that went to Iowa State, maybe a couple, but a bunch of people that in their high school went to Texas, and there's rivalry there. They're going to miss that part, and it's going to make it really strange.
They are. They're missing kind of the secret ingredient to it, which is, this is not the same level of professional sport, but there's a pageantry here. There's a meaningfulness here that you can't really capture always in the NFL, but it's moving that way one way or the other. And people like you and me are going to still watch the games. Yeah. So they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring me my figs. It's all I can stomach.
You should just do the entire next segment as a Grandpa Paul.
Just an old Grandpa Paul. My nurse is from Korea. Grandpa, don't.
Yeah, let's not open up that can of worms.
Yeah, I don't know, where's Judge Janine Pirro? She on? I don't know. There's so many bad things I can say. I don't want to get down that road.
Yeah,
Steven.
let's not go down that trail.
I might be in trouble.
I'd like to come back next Wednesday.
Yeah, so. Right. All right, when we come back, is the SEC down? Are they down? Can we finally say maybe it just means the same in the SEC this year? This is the Triple Option.